Development Manager for Aquatic Informatics. And we're a company, we'll do a couple of slides here so you can follow along with the slide deck here. But just to give a quick introduction of Aquatic Informatics, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about specifically around compliance reporting and the components associated with that, and kind of how that looked for one of our customers, West Basin Municipal. So go ahead, Gina. Our mission as Aquatic Informatics is kind of a big deal. We're organizing the world's water information to make it useful. And go ahead. So the reason that we have that mission is because we're really concerned about these things. As you've probably heard from others, and as you move around the hall here, you're going to hear about all kinds of data collection methods. You might have already heard about the Internet of Things and all these sensors that are sending data up to the cloud. The fact is, we've got more data than we know what to do with and to be able to manage effectively. So, we're not being very good about figuring out how to manage that data and actually do something with it. So we're going to be talking about that and use a case study for that. So really the solution here is, we think anyway, Aquatic Informatics, which is the world's largest water data and analytics company. And we'll see how the three brands that we represent really work together in order to bring this data that we're seeing into a usable format. So we've got Aquarius, which really works with stormwater and source water, the WaterTrack software, which we'll talk a little bit more about today, with the reporting and case study around reporting for the wastewater treatment plants, and then Linko technology, which has been around for a long time and works specifically in industrial pretreatment as well as fat flow and grease regulatory programs. So bringing this data together so that we can tell a story and make informed decisions around the problems that we're all faced. Ultimately, go ahead. These are the kind of spaces that we serve, and really the big thing here is that we're wanting to bring the data together from a lot of different areas, whether that's private, federal government, municipals, and regions, so that we're all on the same page and we can figure these big problems out together. We work with a lot of different organizations and scale to meet their needs. Specifically WaterTrack. WaterTrack is the software that I talked about that's purpose-built for both water and wastewater treatment plants, and really collecting the data, bringing it into a database, and then ultimately what we're talking about here today is the reporting aspect of that. How that looks through the automating the data entry, and that's a really big deal. And again, it kind of goes back to what we were seeing around this space here today is sensors shooting data up to the cloud. How can we automate the useful data, and that way we know that we've got accurate data and we're getting the right kind of data. So WaterTrack is bringing this data in from SCADA, from laboratory information management systems, even from the field with mobile applications, to consolidate the data and make it useful, into ensuring the sampling compliance, so that we know that our plant is compliant with permits, and we're sending alerts if we're coming up on the edge of the enforcement action. So what we're doing is automating the import of the data, then we're organizing it in a database so that it makes sense, and then ultimately we're automating the regulatory reporting. So that would look like the DMRs. And I don't know my audience here today, but how many of you produce the DMRs for the plant? Anybody? any, oh, nobody is doing DMR report. I'm sorry. So this is a really big deal, but as you know, and in any kind of reporting, you have to have that solid foundation of data that you can trust, and you know that's correct, in order to produce that report. And then the WaterTrax data really brings everything together so that we can comply with the electronic reporting rule, where you're sending that electronic report to either the state or the EPA directly. So we'll look at kind of how that looked for West Basin Municipal Water District, where they really had all of these problems that we just talked about, where they had data in all kinds of different areas. They had some data stored in their laboratory information management system. They had other data that they were collecting out in the field on paper, and they put it in a spreadsheet. Hey, what else? Then the SCADA data. So ultimately what that meant for the regulatory compliance officer was that she would spend all kinds of time trying to, go between the limbs and the spreadsheets and everything else to make the DMR for the plant. And she understood the fact that there's a lot of risk associated with that, because coming from all the different areas, she didn't have the confidence in her data that she needed, and it was taking forever to bring it all in. So we wanted to address that issue. She was spending too much time doing that and not enough time really analyzing the data. So bringing that in, we wanted to consolidate it through the WaterTrax software, bring it in from all of those different sources that we mentioned, the limbs and the SCADA, and even collecting data out in the field through the phones, and being able to bring that all together to validate the data, where they didn't have to spend all that time going all through the spreadsheets. They knew the calculations were right, and bringing it together again for the DMR report. And so really the report can be generated really through the click of a button, rather than having to go on. And as some of our guests know, typing that in is a real pain in the pain. So being able to just upload that report is a significant advantage for them. So there's a little quote there, you can read it, but really looking at the collection of, automating the collection of the data, being able to store it in an organized way so that they have the visibility, and making sure that they were compliant with their sampling, and then ultimately taking that data that they trusted is correct from all these different areas, and making that report was the success that they had through West Basin.